What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another video. So again, just do another recap of the day. A little bit of a frustrating day for me. Very small green on the day, and I'll show you why that came in. So a little bit of context. We opened up with some pretty aggressive selling, but we flushed hard into QQQ demand and maintained it and respected it pretty well. We did have this FVG to the downside on the Qs, but for me, context is very important for fair value gap entries, and just coming off of a demand point, showing good respect from buyers from it, wasn't really interested. And beyond that, we got a strong bullish reaction and validated it, and there was no entry given on either way. But for me, when we got this bullish fair value gap at the same time as we validated that bearish one here, you can see we did get a nice test of it, but for me, we were at some supply here already on the Qs. You can see just intraday lows from Friday. So instead of taking this on the Qs, I wanted to take this on this SPY instead, because I see at the same time we had that bullish fair value gap formed. Just make this a little bigger. This was that same fair value gap we had on the Qs right here in SPY. And as we formed that, we still had some room up into our supply here. So I like this a little bit better. At the same time, just again, a little bit more context. We had this trend line. It was a little bit easier to see on the Qs. Oh, sorry. There's this one down here. This trend line that we tried to break below in that initial drop down, but you can see these candles weren't here yet. But at this point, overshot this trend line, put a nice bullish pin bar. So for me, added another little layer of confluence, fake out, trap sellers trying to sell below this trend line break. But moving back into the actual trade here, got this entry down here. Got a nice trim up. Didn't get the best fill on my first trim just because we had 10 o'clock data. I didn't want to hold my full position into that, so we were right at this trim area. Took it off, a second or two before the data, and got a pretty bad fill on it for whatever reason at that point. But ended up getting that move into that high day. Ideally, my last price target was this supply up here. If we were strong at the zone bottom, I was going to target a pre-market high, but at least the zone low here was my final price target. You can see what we did here. So as we hit that high day, we got very choppy. And even though my entry was around down here, the break-even point, I'm not sure if it had anything to do with that 10 o'clock data or whatever, it got jacked up to around here. And these contracts, this came down to hit the contracts break-even point to the cent. And I'm not even exaggerating by that. It hit it literally to the exact cent right here, and then made the move into the high day point, which was a little bit frustrating. It's part of the game. I understand I could have maybe adjusted for that a little bit better. It's a little tough in these situations because I don't want to just keep moving that stop loss point down. When I trim, stock goes to break even. So that's typically what I stand by, but I hit it to the exact cent today, which is a little frustrating, clearly, but wanted to stay a little bit more level-headed after that. Did start to feel a little bit of tilt, and I'll show you what I did after. So take this to the Qs. At the same time that we had just moved into that zone low, we'd created some fair value gaps on the Qs. We were above the Q supply, and we had this little one right here as well. So came back into it. I entered here, but understanding my emotions, realizing I was revenge trading, was a little bit angry from the earlier trade, I just took it off right away. I took it off break even and just turned my computer off, stepped away. This did end up giving a move, which I know could have made some money on, could have scalped a little bit on, but for me, when we had hit that area, when I was taking that area, that entry, the same area we were at was this SPY supply point. So for me, I don't like to buy into supplies. I don't like to sell into demands. To me, it just doesn't have the good R to R. And at that point, also being a bit on tilt from just that early trade, unfortunately getting hit, part of the game, but break even, stop getting hit to the cent. Felt myself a little bit on tilt, just understood that, took it off, walked away for the day. Small green, but I'll take it. So I think an important lesson is, even though that trade would have worked out if I'd stayed in it, I don't think it's a good idea to go on those kind of tilt and revenge trades and start just throwing trades out anywhere, starting to lower your standards a little bit. Just kind of take whatever type of trades. Maybe you usually take A+, you're saying, okay, maybe that B- looks okay, or maybe it's a C+, but I want to make that money I would have made there. Or if you're red for the day, I want a revenge trade. That can get very dangerous for me. or for anyone really, because in my opinion, it doesn't matter how much progress you've made. If you go on tilt, you can still throw all of that away in a second. So just understanding that, felt that in the moment, felt all the progress I built up recently. I just didn't want to throw that away over one little trade that just didn't fully reach its final price target. And it's part of the game, happens. Don't let your emotions control you, take over, and deplete your accounts. So that is going to be it for today. I appreciate you guys all for coming, and see you in the next one. Peace.